Probably one of the biggest features is the new theme layout. And so what this allows is tabs up here instead of having to close or go to window to switch them all. You just click on one versus the other. The other thing you can do is split the windows. So you take a tab, drag it down and let go, and now that turns into a split window.
Right.
To get it back, you just drag the tab to the left and let go, and then it becomes all one again. So the new layout allows a lot of flexibility. You can grab any of the tabs down here and just make them their own window and do whatever you want. Double click puts it back to where it was. Also, if I take and move one of the tabs up, you see in the middle of my screen there's 4 arrows and a white piece right over there. So if I would move over to that, and I could pick dock left, right, bottom, whatever I want on that. So that's a possibility. Everything can be moved around. If you have split windows, you can copy and paste between the two, right? Control, copy, switch focus, paste, text, all that kind of stuff. So it's nice not having to switch. You can just grab it, copy it, paste it. You can't drag and drop. That's on the plan. But it has to be added to Design Shop to be able to scroll elements while you're dragging them. So that's not right away here. People ever get into a jam? I'm missing windows, where are they? It's real simple. You can click on, any one of these horizontal toolbar icons. And then of course you would turn anything you have here or any of the project views that are turned off. But here's a big one, reset layout. So by doing this, it just resets everything to factory and gets rid of a lot of issues right there.
Okay.
All right. You see, also it has, this is always weird with Zoom, you got all these little boxes around trying to get to your screen, right? But you see how we have a little pin right here. Right. Okay, and that's also under custom shapes and stuff. So that's auto hide. If I click it and go away, I just have to bump it and it comes back. If I want to stay up, I just pin it. So that gives a lot more real estate if you're using a single monitor laptop, something like that. Also, if I pick up object properties, this was always like, make a change, close it, open it up, make a change, close it. So it's painful. Now you can double click on the title bar and it'll roll up. So it allows me to leave it up, but if I double click, I can have access to it, do what I want, move it up, digitize some more. So these two, auto hide and the roll up for object properties, are a big space saver. So when the software is installed, though, it behaves like Design Shop V11, where everything is locked, and so it's not going to scare people like, oh, I upgraded and I can't get around the screen or anything. Any questions on that? You want me to go over anything, or?
Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
All right. So then the next thing is I digitized 34 new alphabets. A bunch of them are replacements for really old .dak named alphabets that were from the 90s or something. And then there's 2 gradient alphabets also, but they're not typable alphabets because the gradients and the properties made them really difficult. People could get into a jam if they change underlay. Now it adds it to the gradient color. It's not an easy thing. So we put them under custom shapes, which I can show you here in a minute. We redid all the tackle twills. These are set where you guys know of stalls. Yeah, okay. So they have pre-made cutout letters customers can buy. And these are all set up for those, so that it's just like run them at the size the alphabet is and just paste the letters and tackle twill them down.
Right.
There's two, these are popular. I don't know if chain stitch is popular for you guys over there.
Yeah, it is.
And I got asked about this forever.
Mhm.
So this is these are two probably of the most popular alphabets, but there is a new little micro one right here that has straight sides, so much easier to use. If you have a lot of letters, people always want to jam too much lettering in an area, so this will help some there. All right, so I'll close this guy. Get back to one screen. So I'll cover a little more about this, some additions to alphabet properties down the list. Okay, so all right, so the last two, like I said, are here, and there are two gradient sans serif and slab serif, and then all you have to do is just drag them. They can be scaled up, you know, these are 1 inch, but you could scale them to 2 inches for a hat. I've also done it where you just change the density and whatever for the border, and you can do a puff border around gradients and stuff. So I just did, there's no Euro characters. It gets really weird with the colors in the color sequence. If you have a color, you know, a letter that has 2 colors instead of 4 or 3 because of where it is, it becomes really goofy. So we'll see where this one goes. If people want more stuff added to it, we'll figure out a way to do that. All right, that can be auto hidden also. All right, then the next thing is the new expanded alphabet feature. So there's all these basically several dollar alphabet files you can buy on Etsy. You guys know of those at all?
Yeah.
So yeah, you get, you know, 300 files in this zip folder, and because you got, you know, 10 sizes of a certain font, but they're like $5, you know, US. So all these people buy them, but they wanted a way to process them. So Artista Wilcom have a processing way, as well as Embrilliance uses BX files, which is like their alphabet file. That's proprietary, so it's not so easy for us to just be able to load. We reached out to them, but it's a pretty complicated process because of everything that's stored. So the way that the expanded alphabet processing works is really pretty simple. So you go find the folder. Here's one from Jolson Satin or something. So I usually will take and do, I don't know, 10 files at a time. So you open them all. They all open across the tabs on the top. Pretty nice. Okay, so then I'll pick one. All you have to do is select it, right click, go to save letter. And then here I would do new. I would call it, I don't know, Scott, or you got it, right? You can do monograms or regular standard alphabets. Okay, and then I need to know this version was done at 3 inches basically. So I'm going to put 3 as my standard reference height. I can, you know, decide what spacing to the next character is, although you can adjust this under the spacing tab in object properties. Then I tell it what letter it is. So this is the capital A. Hit OK. Then I move on to the next, you know, select it, right click, save letter. I go lowercase a because I've already defined the alphabet and the size and all that, you know, on and on and on, right? Okay, and then usually it's easiest to go close all. All right, so then to use it, it's just like a regular alphabet. It's going to show up in the custom folder. There's Scott. And it comes up with a warning because these are expanded stitch files and a lot of them are punched like garbage. And so garbage in, garbage out, right? And they blame the machine, but we have to do this because it's so popular. So don't show again is a choice. It also is important that it says use the scale tab to change density and pull compensation, because the normal alphabet properties, except for height and stuff, they aren't applicable, right? Because that's for wireframe. Okay. So then I do that, and I did A and A. So there's my two letters. What I didn't do is a letter with a descender, but let's say this A was a lowercase g, okay? So it's going to be like up in here. Well, you want to pull it down along the baseline, right? So there's two ways to do this. One would be to turn on the grid ruler and just establish a line where you want the baseline to be, or you can spell out an entire word that has that character in it. And so then I will select the letter. Control allows us to move letters off the baseline. So I would bring this down to where the G ended up just perfect. Let go, right click, save letter, done. Then when I run the letters, now it knows the new baseline.
Right. Okay.
Right. So it uses stitch processing when you change the size. And it has all the alphabet properties, but obviously it's very limited because of its being an expanded. Okay, how about just stop me if you have any questions, okay? Am I moving too slow, too fast?
No, that's good. That's good. Perfect.
All right. The next one is the text box. So grab this and I can go to letters. Pick whatever font I want. We'll just go with the stock basic block. 3/4 of an inch, maybe. Apply it. And well, so there's different ways to do this. I think kind of the way Mike Doe liked to explain this would be you would click on the letter, you'd click on the screen, hit enter. Okay, then pick your font, the size, and then I change to text box, and I can put my dimensions in here. If I want the max size to be something like 4 inches wide by 1 inch tall, I can define that, and I can also put in letters, and then that is exactly the size of the text box. Now I can change the text box. This is for single and for multi-line. And I can decide whatever I want, small or larger or something. But if my patches, let's say, happen to be that size, I can just define it here, and then that's what I get. So now the way that this works is I have different fields. So vertical, I can go top, middle, bottom, justification. And then also I have left, center, and right for justification down here. The text is not allowed to go outside of the text box no matter what. And in the past, we still have envelope. Envelope establishes a max width, and then the more letters you jam in there, they just become smashed closer together, right? So they look terrible. So the way that this works is nice, and it will proportionally scale the letter height down. So if I now have, I don't know, Denver, you can see that it shrinks the text because it has to fit within that range. Also, you could do multiple lines. This is going to be really, see, it's not allowed to go outside. So this would be real good you can use this with step and repeat, group names. all that kind of stuff. So you could really rip out some patches pretty quickly. All right, good with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so get rid of this element. The next thing is envelope presets. So grab this. Colorado. So here, if I go to envelope like we had before, I have a new field right here, which has presets for you. So rather than have to create them on your own, this gives you a starting point. Right? And then I can modify from there on, but I don't have to create the different shapes. So there's preset shapes for envelope.
Okay.
Then also I'll turn this off and go to arched. All right, so arched text, we have requests to have the letters vertical along the arc instead of facing or oriented towards the origin of the circle, right? So that shows up right here. If I pick arc, then also this comes on and I have curve or fixed. I can, 0 is going to be vertical, which is what you want, but hey, if you want 10 degrees off of whatever you want, it just allows flexibility. And so then when I do that, everything stays straight. The fonts have to work and all that, right? So that's arched letters, text in a non-curved orientation.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Also, go back here. The next one is any alphabet can be applique. So here's a good one. Coopers. And of course, you have to make it a reasonable size, and the alphabet's got to work. Thin block is not going to be a good applique choice, right?
Yeah.
So here's 2 inches. I guess maybe that's a little bit excessive. We'll try 1.5. And so the way that this works is it's a new lettering type. So up in here under standard, we have flat fill, which we had for 11, output vector lettering or applique. And click on apply, and there you go. Corners are turned on. To access all the properties, we have a new feature that I'll talk about coming up, which is this property selection. This has always been there, but we expanded on it. So now any type of lettering element that's in an alphabet can be, the properties can be adjusted for it. So of course, you know, satin is what rules alphabets, and so that's what all the alphabet properties are. But if you had a 2-color alphabet with a complex fill with a single line border around it, how do you control the stitch length, the fill density, the underlay for that fill? When it's in alphabet form, you couldn't. So now it's split out like that, which I could show you with another one. But for this one, we have applique as the choice. Now here's all your values for, I don't want to cover stitch. I want to change the offset. I want a thicker, you know, all that stuff is done right through here. Okay.
Great.
We did have a request like, hey, I want to do all the locators at once, and that's on the list, but it got cut out, so it'll make it into a service pack or something like that, because they want to be able to sew all the locators, then paste the letters, start up the machine, and go work on something else and come back and it's finished, right? But that didn't make it in. Okay, let's go back to 1 inch. 0.75, I think. Good. And we're going to go back to standard. Okay, so another new feature is we improved the custom line type. so much of our emphasis for 12 is on alphabet stuff because we find our customers use alphabets like they just above everything else, right? They send
Yeah.
out the digitizing. So that's where all these features you see come about alphabets. All right. So for this, we now have a fixed line type. So let me make this just a little smaller, it'll be easier to see. Okay, so for this one, we would select the custom line type and spell out Colorado. And then, so here's the problem that this addresses. We have online Fusion and stuff customers that want to offer arched text over the back of a hat, right, for the cutout. But you got to limit it to a certain width because people online are going to want to spell out the entire novel. So we pick custom type, and then you see now we have a new field here, which is auto adjust. So we'll set it to none. And I will just add a curved point. Whoops, I got to apply this. I will add a curved point here and then hold control so I get a perfect circle. That's the cutout. Or whoops, I still have my my letter orientation is still set to be vertical, not to be a curve. Okay. So this is a little bit big, but let's just say this is the version. So it will work like normal, and except if I did Denver, Colorado, it would go all the way around, you know, like it should. But to crop the width, I have this auto adjust. And so usually you can go on either space or you can go on size. So we'll do this. You see that just kind of fills up. But if I go to the size and then I spell out Colorado, USA, you see it scales down the height like the text box works, and it does not go past at all. So this is nice for constraining arcs because the envelope is straight, the text box is straight, so there's no way to adjust this. Okay, so that's the new custom fixed width and the different scaling options. All right, then we'll go back here to straight line, straight across. About Broncos, that's our football team. So here, to make it a little bit bigger for you guys, we'll do 125. All right, so then we have a new feature right over here, which is called create border. So this can be, it will add borders, either walk stitch, you know, bean stitch, single line, and then that can be all changed element type to whatever you want, like a marrow border or anything. You can add up to 7 of them. It can be added to elements. It can be added to expanded designs or wireframe designs. So any one of the combos. The scenario might be, you know, somebody has an expanded design that they just love and they want to make patches out of it, right? So just add a patch border around it and set. So real simple. I just click on it, brings up the generate borders window. I pick my stitch type, and then I decide how many borders I want. You see the preview shows up right away by default. And then what I want the offset to be. So I don't know, maybe I'm going to go 55 is kind of one. Let's go 45. And then additional offsets for each additional one outside of that. I have 3 different methods that it calculates, or different algorithms. Strict is going to be the closest to the edges. But more commonly relaxed is they just want a border to meander around it. They don't want it to, you know, form every single corner of every block letter. And then a real simple version is convex, where it's not allowed to create any inside edges, right? And then I have this slider right here to, chill out the points so I don't have too many of them like that. So I'll pick strict, and maybe we're going to go more on this. 25, and then generate the borders. And of course, those can be any kind of color, anything that you want like that. I can add up to 7 borders around stuff. So to save some time, I'll show you. Here's one you might have seen from the documents. You could do a double satin, or here's 7 walk stitches, or I can take and do a single walk stitch under, say, relaxed or convex, and then change element type to decorative for the walk, and then to the marrow, the conventional patch border, we call it now.
Yeah.
So if I combine the text box right here and say 4 inches by 1.5, and then put a, create a border around it, I'm stitching patches pretty fast. Okay. All right. So then we have another feature, which is through the auto shapes with rounded corners. So if I grab single line, let's say, now you see that the square or rectangle auto shape has a fly out now. So if I click and hold it, I have this icon here, which is a rounded rectangle. What I do is start in the upper corner, where it doesn't matter where you start really, but one of the corners, and I drag down, I let go, and then I move back towards the center. And you can see that I can pick the radius that I want, and when I click, it's done. This can be applied to, right, the faux marrow, just a regular satin border, or even complex fills if you want rounded corners around something like that. Right. Also, you might know of the cloud-based security.
Yes.
Over. Yeah. How's that working, Klaus? Is it somewhat bug-free?
No, it works.
It works, yeah. You haven't had a reactivate license like you did with V11 and all that stuff. Yeah, that's good. Hopefully,
life easier.
yeah, so you can log in. You know all the details of this, don't you, Augustin?
Yeah, we've seen that actually. That's the part we already got training on.
Sub users, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we have the new check for updates feature is really slick. With it enabled, when you start Design Shop, it will go out and check the server and see if there's a new version available. Something like once every 24 hours, I think. If there is, when you start Design Shop, right down here, there'll be a message, an update is available. So you could click on that, and it will go ahead and patch the update, restarts Design Shop, and it's a pretty fast process. I like it because Design Shop V11 didn't have that enabled, so no one could get updates. So I go to Tools and Options, and then I go to the Preferences tab, and we added it right here, Auto Check for Updates. So if you didn't want your staff to get updates or something like that without you knowing it, you could uncheck that. And then the only way it works is if you go Tools, Check for Updates, like you used to before. Also, there's a new one here, which is Share Data. So we're collecting log files now from users that participate. It's checked by default. It's all anonymous. So we're not out to generate email spam lists and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's amazing how this thing is working, because we gathered some of the logging results, and they can be graphed, and it is amazing what you can find out from this. We found that 80% of the crashes in the first month or so, several weeks, I guess, of Design Shop 12 being out had to do with 2 bugs. One was single line and short stitches. I can't remember the other one. So Paul, the engineer, he fixed those and then sent out the update, and the crash level goes way, way down. So we can use it really to help the software a ton. Every time the software crashes, it sends a crash report. Other than that, it will send log reports on the hour, later. So 1 hour delayed, it will send data, but this can be used to find out what alphabets are people using. Are they doing vector conversion? What are our customers doing with the software, as well as fixing crashes? So everybody good with that?
Yep.
All right, then we have new grid ruler guidelines. So for this, you got to turn on the grid ruler. And then it's simply, these are for alignments. We used to do it through vector lines and all painful. If I just left click on the grid ruler, dash line comes up, and then this can be adjusted up and down. I can do them vertically, can put in as many as I want. They don't print on the, prints the design thing. Also, if I right click on the grid ruler, I can show them, I can hide them, I can delete all guides, or I have a snap to guide. So if I have this enabled and I'm digitizing, if I'm within 4 pixels of this line, it will snap it right to it, sort of like snap to grid works. And then, of course, like we talked before, the expanded alphabets, I could just bring this down to the baseline of my G and then save letter, and that would work also. All right, so grid ruler guidelines for easy alignment. Another one we have is, start a new window. We added a feature for digitizing for automatic closest point connection. So to make this simple, I'll use a single line. But if you're digitizing a letter H, so and the icon for it is right here, I'll enable it, and I can enable and disable through digitizing. I don't really care for the way it does complex fills, because if you're in the middle, it will push the fill together, right in the center. So you'll be pushing the fabric where normally you'd push it to the bottom and walk or trim, whatever. It doesn't really know about that. So I like it for walk. It doesn't do anything for walks, but I like it for single lines, column 2, column 1, digitizing. So with it enabled, if I do a letter H, okay, then normally I'm going to have to select this. I'm going to have to change the exit point to the middle. Then I would digitize my next point. And then I would digitize my last leg. And then I would have to go move entry and exit points. This is all done already, because this one moved that to there. This one stays the same, but it also moved the start point to the middle. So it saves a ton of time on alphabets. I can't tell you how, you got to resequence half the letters when you digitize them, change the entry and exit points. So that's the way this closest point connection feature works. Reduces trims, automatically connects everything as you digitize. Now it still is bound by your trim distance. So if this leg of the H is way off the side, it's going to do it, but it's still going to trim, right? So
okay.
All right, so and the next feature is save PNG files at high res, also JPEGs too. So whatever I have on screen, this is common that people, they want to take an embroidery design in 3D and print it, right?
Yep.
All right, so I just, whatever I have, file save as, and I pick my format, which would be PNG. Now I have a new field that showed up right here, and it's the DPI. So 72, 144, 2, or 300. And so when I save this out, it's higher resolution. We can't make infinite size files because Design Shop is 32-bit. So by the nature of Windows and memory with 32-bit systems, 4 gig is as much as you can generate within a file. And so it will reduce down the size, because we had people printing huge things. The files are gigantic, right? So it's going to reduce that down to a size that the OS can handle. It works for JPEGs also, which is kind of nice. So then another thing we did was to add support for EXP Plus. So EXP is a Melco format from, geez, like the 80s. It was around in 85 when I started. So it was in the prehistoric computer days, so it cannot hold color information or notes or, you know, that kind of stuff. So EXP Plus marries an INF file with the same name as the file in the folder, and all that INF file is color information one after another, right? So it's pretty wild. You save out EXPs, and when you run them, they come in color if you colorize them, which is kind of unique. So you guys know of this through Bernina or the EXP Plus format?
We hardly ever encounter it here. Quite
okay.
I think Klaus, right?
No.
Mostly it's OFM for us and DST.
Yeah. Oh, for the Melco type customers, yeah. Bernina people are used with those little sticks. They're used to seeing they're expanded, because I had a couple I did a demo for, and this lady was adamant that EXP stored color information. It's incapable. So I had to go show her the folder. I think Wilcom puts them in as hidden files. We don't do that, but of course that INF would have to go along with the file in order for this to work. But so that's support for EXP Plus.
All right.
All right. So then finishing up here, if I go to the designs. So another thing we did was I removed all the pictograph alphabets from Design Shop. You remember how we had Western symbols, sports symbols, we had holidays, why are there pictures as alphabets? And it had to do with, they were around in 85 when I started at Melco. They were on circuit boards that plugged into the machines. They're old, they were condensed data, it was totally out of date, single color. So I took and made stock designs out of them, and I put each one into its own folder. So everything is much easier to use here, actually, when you click on them. All right, so let's go to graphics. And the good old coffee cup, how about? So wow, this is wild because it's hidden behind all this Zoom stuff, right? I can't see my let's see if I can I get it through here? No. All right, how do I move this? Will this thing just drag out of the way?
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
Drag and drop,
Okay, so for here, I want to start the graphic conversion assistant. Sometimes if I had art that had 4 browns in it, you know, and there's different shades, I'm like, well, which color is this? So we added a locate color feature here. It's simply a matter of clicking it here, and you see it highlights over here, so you know. If I want to, oh, this is the color it's talking about, and then I just click away and it goes back like it was. So pretty simple feature, but we added it. Okay, we added a new category feature. So under custom shapes right now, let's just say that I have a single line. So I'll highlight it, and then we have add current. And so it just was a little bit weird that if I wanted to make my own folder or category under custom shapes, I had to know to click in here and start typing or whatever. So we added an add. So once I do this, I type in the folder name, do a Scott again. and then enter. And now I have that category. So when I add this to it, I can go down and grab it. And here's the Scott folder that has what I just did in there. All right, so just an easier way to add categories. Also, we added under tools and Melco OS settings. So you guys know settings by color.
Yeah.
So we just, people are like, yeah, I hate having to reset all these numbers for every color. Well, the actual workaround in the past would have been set everything up like the majority of your design and then click settings by color enable, right? But they wouldn't. They would just enable it and then it's got the defaults. No, I want 800, 900 each time, changing all this. So we add presets here. So you set everything up and then you can save as a new preset. Now this lives inside the file. So then I take and load it to Melco OS and click on load machine settings. I'm going to get all the values that I put in here. All right. Yeah, barcoding and all drove people crazy by this. So that's presets for settings by color. Talked about EXP Plus. You can, the cool thing is, yeah, with EXP Plus, you can define actual thread chart like Isochord, Madeira, all the actual thread charts, and it'll show up on there. It's not like some of PES and all where they have such a limited color palette, it's like useless. We added new thread charts like we always do for Glide, Candle. We updated the Madeira ones. They found an error in Madeira Classic Rayon with the names, so that's been fixed, so that ought to come out. We updated the Great Notions DLL, which is our home formats, as we call it, conversion. So we pay another company to provide us with a DLL that has all the updated home formats. So when you save as PES, it has the newer version, or you save as Baradin or Tajima, I guess is kind of common, but all those other home formats, they're always coming out with, you know, new size hoops and new versions. So this is just, we input it into our software and then now we're up to date with everything. So that's of course updated. Pictographs we talked about, and